Welcome to Creamer Media's Polity. I'm Amy Witherden. With me in the studio I have Ebrahim Fakir of the Electoral Institute of Southern Africa to discuss the state of opposition politics in South Africa, following much talk in the media about an opposition realignment ahead of the 2011 local elections. Many opposition parties have stated an intention to present a more united front against the African National Congress, but their plans seem vague as yet. Ebrahim, how likely is an opposition realignment ahead of the 2011 elections?
It does seem likely in the sense that there is already some realignment which has taken place. And this has happened from the local government elections in 2005, 2006, when in many parts of especially the Western Cape, in local municipalities, you have the Democratic Alliance governing in coalition with the Independent Democrats. There's also the instance of the Cape Town Metropolitan Council, in which the Democratic Alliance is in some kind of coalition or partnership agreement with the Independent Democrats. So there is some degree of realignment in some of the opposition, within some of the opposition parties, and most recently, of course, when Jacob Zuma committed a gaffe in the sense that he had meant to suggest that he had made a nomination for the Constitutional Court head, and instead had used the word that this is the appointment he would like to make, you found that 8 opposition political party leaders had come together to issue a joint statement. So while this is not a signal of complete realignment, it is the beginnings of some kind of discussion, it seems, at a much higher level than may have previously been the case, in which there is some common thinking emerging on some issues. That doesn't mean that there is, of course, unity or homogeneity in their thinking. There is still, of course, a great degree of diversity among it. But the argument is that there is the beginnings of this kind of realignment which has gathered momentum from the last local government elections, and I think which has been precipitated more greatly given the majority that the African National Congress won in this last election. So it does seem likely that there will be some coming together, but of course the terms, as you correctly say, are fairly vague. And there are many things which are absent from the discussions as they seem to be unfolding. So they seem to be finding common agreement on some things, but there's no real common policy platform emerging. There is no real common politics amongst the different political parties, and that common politics seems to find resonance, if at all, only on the fact that they wish to stand against the African National Congress. And that, of course, is not sufficient to forge either a political platform or some degree of policy commonality on a number of policy issues. So while they may have found commonality on the question of the nomination for the Constitutional Court and the fact that the President ought to consult opposition parties in the appointment and the Judicial Services Commission, that's the only commonality that they've been able to forge so far, other than the fact that they would like to stand against the ANC. Whether they can find anything else to go forward to stand commonly on remains to be seen. But I think you will begin to have fractures around leadership battles about which political party will contribute what, in what kind of partnership and coalition, whose relative strengths will be exploited in which particular areas, and of course the grand political strategy of what they wish to achieve beyond simply contesting the 2011 local government elections is also something which is unspelled.